Welcome to the chain. This is the BCC Club. We're your hosts. I'm Kendahl and Sarah, and I'm here with the always incredible, amazing
Sarah Shower. Thank you, guys. This is the BCC Club, where each week we go down an internet rabbit hole. What hole are we getting back into this week?
We're talking about boy moms again, because
Yes.
last week we kind of deep dived into what they are, and when we ran out of time, we were like, oh my gosh, we missed the best part, which is the Reddit threads about some real bad boy moms.
Yeah, we wanted to give you guys some examples.
In case it wasn't clear. And this week there was kind of a viral boy mom moment on the internet, so we're going to talk about that. I have to say, the elephant in the room, you might be thinking, oh, it's that the election just happened.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is that I look terrible. And I usually wouldn't, talk about myself in that way. But once again, I did shower. My hair's not greasy.
Okay.
But and I'm not sick in a contagious way. I do have lupus. So it's not, don't be scared.
Yeah.
But I've been so sick for the last 2 weeks. Super high fever. I canceled last week filming because I was so sick. But my work schedule has been so insane that I feel like I've just kind of pretended I'm not sick. Like I've gone and I've just been working the whole time. And then I just went to New York City and I got back last night from New York City for work. And I feel like I sound insane and I look sick. And I just, in case you're scared and you're like, is she dying? I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I understand that. You should, but the thing is, your voice, you should capitalize on it. I love
sexy, huh?
Yeah, whenever you get sick voice or smoker voice, you just I should film a video where I'm
It's my lupus. People will be like, oh, you have kind of a raspier voice. And it's because I don't really know why. I am someone where it's I do have lupus, but I've done zero research into it.
Yeah.
So I know that it can affect your voice, but in what way, I don't know why. But I do know that it can kind of make your voice a little deeper.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I found out that I thought it was, actually I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, it's an autoimmune thing, right? Yes.
Anyways, I'm not also I feel like I seem really sick, so I'm not showing up to make you sick. I'm not contagious or anything. So don't be afraid.
You're good. It's been a stressful and also lupus and then flying. So it's just a whole bunch of, I won't catch jet lag or lupus.
Don't be scared. But there's other things to be scared about anyways.
Yeah.
It is, Donald Trump's our president again.
Donald Trump is our...
say that. It's actually it's not funny, but it's actually almost funny. It's so crazy.
No, literally when the election night was happening, I was laughing in pain and people are like, are you happy? I was like, I am not happy about this. When you're so incredulous, you're like, this can't be happening again. It just but I know that there's a whole thing going around about voter fraud. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that you're supposed to check your ballot because a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just felt it's so funny watching because when Obama ran, I was 12. When he ran the second time, I was 12.
Yeah.
So I only ever really remember. I remember Obama running, but it wasn't I was in on what's going on in the election. I just was oh yeah, he's running for president. But I feel since I can remember, Donald Trump has been running for president, and since I've been voting, Donald Trump has been running for president, and I think it's just so funny how every single time my brain does 50 backflips, every election, I just think it's gonna be different. It's just not, and I continue to say the same stuff every time where I'm well, you guys, we have to be careful because the polls are not always true, and I'm saying it, but I don't really feel it. And then it's every night when even when Joe Biden won, it still was so close. Every time I'm oh my, it's just the same. It feels when they're insanity is when you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's what I feel my brain does. And the night of the election, more than ever, I think my brain was doing so many backflips to try to make myself feel better. And I remember at one point, I was sitting there thinking, and I was well, just pretend you voted for him. Just pretend that you voted for him, so then this will be fun. So you won't be sad when he wins.
Yeah.
And I was who is this for? What am I doing? But I was just I can't take being disappointed like this again. I really can't. But yeah, truly wild. Honestly, kind of a throwback, a little nostalgic. I was thinking this, though. I was it is weird to have the president that was the president when you were in high school, kind of do a revival tour.
Yeah.
Like he's the president again. Like, wouldn't it be weird if like Bill Clinton was our president again?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like it would feel crazy. Well, I wouldn't really, I don't remember that, but like if Obama was suddenly our president again, it would just feel so weird. And that's why I was like, feels like I'm 18 again, because I'm like, that's when Donald Trump's not supposed to be president when I'm 25.
Yeah.
So bizarre.
It sucks. What's also crazy is I think Trump is trying to get rid of the amendment where you can't run for president more than 2 times. Right. And I'm like, Obama, you better show up in 4 years, or like Jimmy Carter, bless your soul, you're 100 years old. But you have got to get and I can't have another Clinton. I can't have another Bush. And Obama wasn't even the best, but like, If
Do you think he'd even win now, though? I'm like, I don't even know. Because me 4 years ago, I'd be like, well, Obama can win.
Yeah.
Anything. But now I'm like, I don't know. I feel so like it's like our country has shifted in some way, you know? That I'm like, could he beat Donald Trump now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he... The thing is this is about to be this is not like the first 4 years, because the man was a bumbling idiot. Now he knows what he's doing. And what's crazy is that like Mike Pence, his former VP, most of the people in his cabinet are like, he had fascist tendencies and we do not support him again. If one person that you work with doesn't like you, if every person you work with is like, they're basically a Nazi. What does that like? Okay, so now this and
you're not even working in a regular job where everyone has different views. You're working in a job where you've surrounded yourself with people who you picked because they agreed with you.
Yeah,
and they all have extremist values, and even they, almost 100% of them are like, too much, dude. Yeah, way too much. It is so it's really scary. But you know, I woke up the day after, and I did have some kind of like. First of all, the night before, I just went to sleep. And I actually Googled, I was like, are people checking themselves into hospitals? Because I am not an anxious person. Like, obviously, I have my moments of anxiety, but I don't have anxiety. And I feel like I'm usually very calm. And I'm very kind of like, well, it'll be okay. Like, everything's fine. And even the night on Tuesday night, was having like chest pains, and I was having to like slow breathe, and I've never had that. So I was like, I mean, I know people who can't order at a coffee shop without having a panic attack. What are they doing? I was like, I feel like people with actual anxiety. I was like, are people like in the hospital right now because of this? I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
But the next morning, I woke up. Well, I was really sick, so I woke up at like 4 a.m. to go take a shower, sit at the bottom of my shower, and I looked at my phone, and it was like, Donald Trump will be the next president. And I was like, honestly, I did feel, well, at that moment, I was very numb to it. I think I set it down, and then I immediately went to my farming app that I have on my phone and played with my cows and stuff. But then when I finally officially woke up in the morning, I did feel some radical positivity where I was just like, you know, I am going to be fine, so I need to be positive so I can do some good work. Yeah. And I can like try to help in any way I can, because I think, you know, me pouting and crying on the internet is like not I would never really do that. But me being sad in general, it's like, me of all people, I don't need to be like, there's so many people in the country who deserve to be like absolutely terrified. And there's some ways, but I'm probably will be okay. So I was like, I just felt the want to be like, I need to be positive, not toxic positive, but I need to be positive so I can like help out in any way I can. Because also like, I don't know, I think this is like a wake up call for our country, because it's like not even, I think there's such a rhetoric of like, well, anyone who votes for him is an idiot, and everyone who votes for him is, I think people get a picture of a Trump supporter in their brain as like a guy in the middle of Alabama who's like crazy. And I think it's like, nope, they're all around you. They're in your house, they're at your dinner parties, they are at your work, and they are in every state, and they are all around us. And there are people that you might even like, but you have no idea. There are people you follow on the internet. They're not all this like caricature of a Trump supporter. And I think that was eye-opening. You know what I mean?
Yes. Day after the election, I went through like every stage of grief 5 times. I mean, like, it was just, I actually came up with a list of, for you guys listening right now, so to actually hit the ground running and, attempt, combating this, you do have to address your feelings. So if you want some books on grief, I actually do have it. So there's actually a couple types of grief. This one is mainly called ambiguous grief. It's where you are grieving a life that you thought you had or potential or that you could have. So I have some books. Actually, can I give recommendations?
Please.
Okay, so No Death, No Fear, Comforting Wisdom for Life by Thich Nhat Hanh, Bearing the Unbearable, Love, Loss, and the Heartbreaking Path of Grief by Joanne Kakatori, The Grieving Brain, Mary Frances O'Connor. Notes on Grief, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. So like, and then my ambiguous grief books, I was like, actually, these are textbooks. So if you want to read a textbook, Myth of Closure, cool. Ambiguous Loss in a Time of Pandemic and Change.
Have you read that one?
Yes, wow. By W.W. Norton. It's very like, but you guys need to grieve this, really face your feelings, and then we need to use anger productively, which means you have to know exactly what's coming up.
But it is hard to feel the feelings of this election because I do think my instinct, at least, was just to be like, I can't do this again. Like, it feels like you're cheated on your partner the first time, and you're so mad, and then, you take them back, and then they do it again, and you're like, you can't even, you're just like, get out of my house.
Yes.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you ever again. That was like the feelings I had.
Yeah, every year it's just like, especially in the past 10 years, something major and horrible has happened or is like, coming to light, right? And now it's like, we got hope up, finally catch a wee bit of a break, not the perfect break by any means, but you're like, okay, we're all it's like we just ran a marathon. We're all gonna be able to breathe, and now we have to walk the 24 miles home. Are you? I can't do this anymore.
It's really bad. It's like, I think the first 4 years was like, this is not who we are.
Yeah.
And I think this time it feels like,
this is who
we are, isn't it? I thought that maybe it wasn't, but this is actually exactly who we are, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it will be okay. I don't even know. It's like, maybe it won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, but you know what? Let the days keep coming, and it's unfortunate.
I made a TikTok about this, but like I was talking to my friend about the election, and she was like, one step at a time, and I was like, I'm literally an alcoholic. Don't ever utter in an encouraging way don't. I have been one day at a timing it for like literal years now. Please leave me. I just want some I need Klonopin. That's what I need. Sarah, don't relapse. I wasn't addicted to Klonopin. But like, other than that, Naomi and I are going camping this weekend in Joshua Tree.
Well, there you go.
I didn't think that I would be into camping. But the thing is I'm not into camping because I did it so much growing up.
Right.
And now I'm going camping again. And I realized after looking at the site, I was like, okay, I'm fine with camping in the desert. The idea of camping in the woods,
I mean, like bugs?
Yeah, and also the idea of someone hiding in the woods. If someone's hiding behind a cactus,
yeah, that's not
or like I can see them coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can. I don't think that. But I mean,
are you in like an Airbnb?
Yes. Yeah. But it's like
fancy.
It's like an indoor-outdoor Airbnb where it's like mainly a room and then it's outdoors.
I stayed in like a tent there that was like a glamping tent.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to bring a coat because it gets very cold at night.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I was in a desert. I'm in a bikini. I was freezing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I've camped in very cold weather, so I'm gonna bring that. The last time I was at Joshua Tree was literally 20 years ago, and we were camping once more. And my dad almost hit this mule in the road in the middle of nowhere. Just mule is just there. So I guess, trees or not, we didn't see it coming. But and then we had to stop at this prison to ask for directions because this is before
you told me about that. It's crazy.
Like we're parking in the visitor parking lot. My dad's like checking in. Hey, excuse me, how do we get back to the highway? But yeah, and then Naomi's having this gender surgery next week, and they're talking about it on their social media platform. So I'm going to be taking care of them while they recover.
Nice.
It has to do with like body contouring and stuff because their pants and their hips and it's just not it's not working for them. So they're going to be recovering. So I'm going to be taking care of them after we camp. And yeah,
they're getting the surgery after camping, right?
Yes.
The timeline you said, I was like, are you guys going camping right after the surgery?
Oh no.
I was like, bold, but I love that.
That'd be awful. But yeah, so I'm just going to be like camping and taking care of Naomi and the cats and, trying that. I want to decorate for Christmas, if I'm being honest.
You're going to?
Yes, because I want something to make me feel spirited and festive.
This was my theory. I had said I was saying to my partner about, because I love to decorate for Christmas. And I was like, we went to New York and I would get a Diet Coke and the cans in New York. I don't know if this is everywhere, but I hadn't seen it until New York. They all had Santa Claus on them.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, sometimes I feel like if we like took every, more leftist opinion and implemented into government overnight.
Yeah.
And so all of that was good.
Yeah.
But we this is all overnight, kind of like an elf when he decorates. It's like all that's implemented. And then also they put American flags on absolutely everything.
Uh-huh.
And then decorate for Christmas so much, just Christmas, which is unfortunate. But it's like everything is implemented.
Yeah.
But there's so many American flags and there's Santa everywhere.
Yeah.
I was like, I think people would be fine. Like, I think that conservatives would be like, actually, this is actually what we cared about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it feels like they don't care about anything except, like, if that was what it was, it would be fine.
Yeah.
And they're like craving a nostalgia for a time that is almost like pre-internet. It's like they want to go to a time before the internet.
Yeah.
But they can't because you can't.
Yeah.
And so instead they're like, I miss when people only talked about Christmas. And I miss when American flags were everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so obviously it would be unfortunate for us to all only acknowledge one holiday.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if we all were like, wink, wink, we're just setting up the we're setting up the Christmas decorations to appease these people.
Yeah.
I do feel like there'd be less arguments. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the Republican issues are and understanding is so cosmetic at this point. Like, they're like, we want to improve the economy, and then they're like, so we're going to impose tariffs. And I was like, okay, so like they imposed tariffs during the Depression to try to help the economy. Know what it made worse? The Depression. So like, it's just, if Kamala would have said Merry Christmas on that stage, and said, I don't say Happy Holidays, I say Merry Christmas, most Republicans would have been like, wait a second.
But that's what I mean. I'm like, if we could all just collectively be like, you guys, we don't feel this way. This is just to kind of like keep the country going. Like, we all know there are other holidays. Like, we know we don't all celebrate Christmas, but like, just let them put them on the cups and then like, we'll have universal health care. Your college will be free, but every December we have to pretend to celebrate Christmas. You know what I mean? I was just, because sometimes I like hear, or even like I saw an ad. I saw a Trump ad that was just about Christmas, where he was like, back when you could say Merry, and I'm like, what is this? Out of all the things going on. So I just was thinking about that. Anyways, I'm also decorating for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. It was actually great because when I came back home from New York last night, my roommate had surprised me and brought all of the decorations up from our storage unit.
Nice.
Which is like the worst part of decorating for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I love decorating, but I have to like bring 8 boxes and and he set up the Christmas tree. He like didn't decorate, but he set it up. And now I'm like, oh my God, I just get to do the good part of it. So I'm excited for that. But you're going to decorate. Do you go big?
Oh, hell yeah. It's all pink. Everything that I own for Christmas is pink.
I love that.
Pink and white. Like, it's the most femmy Christmas ever. I want something, honestly, kind of cheesy, but warm,
I do a really, like, classic Christmas, I feel like similar to what my mom did growing up, but I love it to look really, like, old. Like it could have existed in the early 2000s. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's fun. But then sometimes I'll see like what you do, like a white and pink moment, and I'm like, that's really fun.
I love it. The only thing I'm worried about is that this time last year we had 2 older cats, and now we've got 1 older cat and 3. The mom is technically still a kitten, and then we got 2 kittens. So
that tree might be tough.
They're gonna destroy it.
Have you seen these videos of raccoons coming out of trees?
No.
Oh my God, you guys! If you're setting up your Christmas tree. Check if there's a raccoon in it. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get a real tree, and I honestly will never.
Yeah.
We used to do it with my family growing up, and it was very fun.
Yeah.
But my mom did all the hard stuff. It's like she dealt with the tree. And it was fun to go pick out the tree. But as an adult, I'm so scared of bugs. I've seen so many videos online of people being like, I brought this tree to my house, and now my house is infested with these bugs.
Yeah.
But also, there's so many videos. If you go on TikTok and Google raccoon in my Christmas tree, people are putting their tree up and a raccoon is coming out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when your garage is a port, wildlife will come in. But no, raccoons get in through any sort of garage. I mean, that's just incorporated into the holidays. Yeah. Oh, that's the annual raccoon that is released in the house. When I was in college, there was this guy who was like very redneck, and whenever we had like an animal problem, he would come and like take care of it. I remember this group of guys had like possums in the attic, and literally I checked Snapchat on this guy's Snapchat, and he just had possums by the scruff in his hands, and they're like. The possums scream, and so it's just a photo of him like, and their like mouths are wide open. He didn't kill them, but he just removed them. Didn't care. He was a.
Where did you know this man, or you just saw this on the internet?
Well, no. I knew he's from college.
I've said many stories about because you're from kind of a small town. No, but you're from the South.
I'm from some small towns. Yes.
I feel like people don't believe me when I tell them how many wild animals. Yeah. In my friends' parents' garages.
Yes.
Like my partner is like, that sounds like a fake story.
Yeah.
And I lived in California, so we were not doing what they're doing in a lot of other places where they have monkeys and stuff. Yeah. But I would go to my friend's house, who maybe was that friend that people were like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be friends with her. Yeah. Seems like maybe her family's got a lot going on. Yeah. You go to her house, her dad, every time, 2 rattlesnakes in a trash can in the garage.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. I mean, all of them. Their parents always had the kid that was a little bit maybe too cool for school, you know. They're smoking weed in the 6th grade type of kid. Their parents always had a rattlesnake in the garage. Yeah. And all my friends from cities are like, that. There's no way that is true. And I'm like, all of them.
No, yeah. In South Carolina, the animal you got to worry about is alligators. Oh. And so like we lived on a golf course, so there's like ponds. So there, you'd see alligators regularly. Oh my God. Yeah, and then when I lived in California, I mean, I live here now. You'd have to worry about coyotes and rattlesnakes, and then in Northern Virginia, it's just whatever doesn't want to be in DC is going to come in your yard. So yeah, but now I'm trying to think about the animals. I mean, I'm worried mainly about pregnant cats now, as they're the most plaguing thing in my life. But speaking of pregnancy, you know who's got an interesting story to tell? Some boy moms. So I wanted to touch on some stories. There is, what incited this, besides the previous episode, is there is this TikTok going around now that is absolutely horrifying. It's this video, these 2 still images of this woman with her son, right? He's maybe about 13 years old. She has her arm around him, and the caption says, "Born to be your lover." And then the next photo says, "Forced to be your mother."
When does it become like they should be investigated? Do you know what I mean?
Immediately. I'm so serious.
That is so scary.
People don't take female predators as seriously as they should. Okay, this is beyond so boy moms, right? Like they project this Freudian, something like their husband or the man in their life, if they have one, right? Like they're absent or they're not fulfilling their role. So they usually project this sort of partnership onto their eldest or one of their sons. And now he takes on this weird he's the man of the house, you know, situation. And it becomes like, when he starts to grow up, it starts to get really uncomfortable and gross. But yeah, like if this was a father and his daughter.
That's what I was gonna say, because I'm never trying to be like, if this was a man, but I'm like, imagine if a man posted a photo with his daughter.
Yeah, forced to be your meant to be your boyfriend, forced to be your father. We would all, literally, I'd be on the FBI. Like, I'd call the FBI, CPS, the cops, you know.
It's so upsetting. So last week, if you missed last week's episode, we talked about boy moms in general, but now we've got some crazy stories that you found on Reddit.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's mainly like Reddit pages, like what are you guys' takes on boy moms? Because the comments are the most illuminating. The first one is from r/askwomen. What is your experience with boy moms? Because I wanted to like go through real world examples. Do you know any boy moms?
Oh my God, let me think. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do actually. Yes.
What's the dynamic like?
Well, I'm trying to keep it vague. This is a relative. What I would say is I don't see it affecting. This is a case where there's a son and a daughter.
Yeah.
And I think it has completely changed the daughter's life for the rest of her life.
Yes.
I think like growing up with a boy mom, it was like the daughter was like, I'm stupid, I am dumb, I'm not as good as my brother. The brother just got so much attention, and then now it just kind of continues into adult. Like, it's just affected the course of her entire life.
Yeah.
And I think the boy seems to have come out a bit unscathed.
Yeah.
And has some like separation from the mother.
Yeah.
So he seems fine. But the daughter, is like the neglect that happened is a little irreversible. I feel like I see my family via Facebook, from the deep South.
Yeah.
And I know they're sexist, of course. Like, I know they, like, but I guess I always think of, like, you know, misogyny. I'm like, oh, it's like they don't even know it's happening. Like, I guess I would assume most people, it's like, from all the way over here in California, I'm like, well, it's like their husband talks over them, but they don't see it as like sexism. But to realize that, no, they know, like they actually think a man is better than a woman.
Yeah.
It's just jarring to see. Because even I had a cousin who, I guess I'll talk a little more openly about, because I would be absolutely shocked if she listened to this podcast. But she was like, she's had a bunch of daughters. They're all little, but she just had a son.
Yeah.
And watching this on Facebook has been very eye-opening.
Yeah.
Because she changed her cover photo and profile picture to just photos of the son. And is like, the long posts about it is just like, my son, finally we got a son. Thank God we got a son. And also like, she seems to be just like, it's just the amount of attention this child is getting is so wild. Because to me, like, if you're a mom, and I don't know how this works, how this would feel, but to me, if you give birth to many children, how could you feel so differently about one than the other? It's just weird. It's bizarre.
It is weird. I don't know if this makes any bit of sense. I would, and this is just, you know, different types of abuse are valid. I would rather be straight up neglected by my parents than either one of them be weirdly obsessed with me and because of my gender. Like, I mean, like, and way too into me. You know what I mean? Like, supportive, like your best friend. That's one thing. But, like, you know, any sort, and I'm not a boy, but, like, any sort of boy mom attitude towards me, I don't know. That makes me, like, I'd rather just be neglected. Like, please don't even look at me. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so bizarre.
Yes.
So, okay, should we read the top one?
Yes.
Is that okay?
This is by Ask Women. What's your experience with boy moms? And then the first one says, terrible. I dated one of the boys of a boy mom. Basically, her two sons could do no wrong. For example, my ex would constantly borrow money, conservatively $5,000 in 2 years we've dated, which was a lot for me at the time. When we ended things, I asked for him to pay me back. He didn't, so I took him to small claims court. He brought his mom to yell at me. She said her precious baby would never borrow from me. I had everything recorded on Venmo, LOL. She was legit speechless for a few minutes until she said, why was paying for dates a big deal? I said, not only did I pay for our outings, he borrowed money from me outside of that. His brother, too. Anyway, she said I shouldn't be doing this. It's not womanly, whatever that means.
Interesting.
That is crazy. Like, but what is this? I guess you build up this version of your son in your head, right? And so, like, if anything that goes against that image is, you just outright deny it, right? Like,
well, also I found there's a certain group of people at a certain age, where their ability to process feelings is just so it's like the shallow end of a pool. Like, it just does not go very far. And so I think it's like, what I could see it and be like, and I'm not trying to be condescending. There's a lot of people, I'm not saying only people who are young can feel feelings, but there's like, I think a certain group of people in a certain age demographic where it's just like no feelings. They don't even understand any of it. So it's like, I see this and I'm like, oh, I think it's like you get defensive because you raise this person.
Yeah.
And also you get defensive in general because you're but it's just like defensiveness, but none of it is like, it's true. I think it's like, oh, she can't handle that she raise someone who would do, I don't know, it's just so shallow, the feelings, so they just like freak out, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if she thinks she's right. She's just like, I have to say this because this is, I think some people don't even think about what they're saying. They're just like, I'm gonna argue my way out of this, you know?
Yeah, like emotional expression, like expression is a type of communication, right? Like, and so like even think about like if you want to learn a second language or like, you know, other languages, it's much easier when you're a child. The same thing applies to emotions. Like if your emotions are not proper, I mean, it's taken me forever to get a grasp on emotions because my emotions weren't like validated or understood. And so that compounds, right? So, I mean, it's not saying that, you know, older people are like, have less emotions. It's like when you're trying to do some emotion work, it's gonna be real hard to undo it. Because you're like very locked into place. I mean, it'd be like trying to learn a second language at 70. I mean, that is possible, but like it's going to be a much slower as opposed to like if you did it when you were a kid.
Well, and you're already starting so far back. It's like, well, I, you know, at 18 was going, like, I had the internet, first of all.
Yeah.
It was much more allowed to talk about your feelings. So even though I wasn't like processing all my emotions perfectly, I knew that was out there versus like a lot of people when they were 18, they were like in war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like to survive, you had to make yourself not feel any of these emotions. And then it's like you get out into the world and even the world they were in at that time just like didn't talk about feelings. And then maybe they were gay or it's like all of these things make it to where it's just like you are not allowed to feel anything. And then I think it probably is overwhelming to have a 19-year-old being like, but what do you really feel? You know what I mean? Because I don't know if I could, if I went through all of that, I don't know if I could feel emotions in the same way.
Yeah. And there's just so much like emphasis on hierarchy that there's like, you know, someone, it's not only just emotions, it's someone that this person probably views as beneath them.
Yeah.
Saying that their precious baby boy did something wrong. And so she's like, it's not womanly. It's almost like, how dare you critique me up on this platform when you're down there, you lowly whore. But so there's another one if you want to.
Someone said, my mom was one. She had 5 boys before me. She worshipped them, but saw me as competition. She deliberately caused arguments to get them to defend her and go after me. I also think there's like a lot of these women, their husbands don't respect them.
Yes.
So I think it's like sometimes their son is the first boy to ever respect them. Yeah. Because they surround themselves with misogynistic men. And a child naturally like respects their parent, I feel like. Yeah. So it causes this very bizarre relationship as well. Yeah. I think it's like sometimes, you know, like the meanest person you know is obsessed with adopting animals. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I have 7 kids.
Sorry. Not I'm obsessed with adopting animals. Yeah. But do you ever meet someone who's like so mean?
Yes.
And then they're like, I love animals. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like obsessed with animals. Most people love animals. Like I'm obsessed with animals too. So it's not like every person. I'm not saying every person who adopts animals is a mean person, but you'll meet just like the biggest bitch. Yeah. And then she's like, I volunteer every week at the animal shelter. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, it's because animals don't know what a bitch you are. Like animals are never going to be like, hey, bitch.
Yeah.
You suck. Sometimes it reminds me of children too, like when people have kids and they're like the meanest person ever, but then they're like for a couple years a really nice mom because it's like their child is obsessed with them because they naturally have to be obsessed with their mom. Yeah. Or at least a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's what Republicans do all the time. They're weirdly obsessed with embryos and stuff like that. And the reason why they go so hard for kids in the womb, I guess, is because the kids can't ask for anything back. The reason why they stop caring after the child is born, right, is because the child now can ask for something, demand your resources, right?
And disagree with you.
Yeah, and animals, right, they can't ask you for shit. Like, they're just, thank you for, what I mean? And so that, it's because you want to feel like you're helping out, but like people in real life, like unhoused people or people with addiction issues or anyone who needs healthcare, you help them out, and what can they do? Ask for more help.
Right. Yeah. Or because I've always found that very jarring, and you see it so much, but you'll see a woman or a man who they're just like racist, homophobic, so bad, and they're like yelling at a postal worker. Yeah. Being like, I wish you were dead. And then their like golden retriever runs up and they're the nicest person. It's like they love this thing so much. And I've always found that juxtaposition so overwhelming because I'm like, you have a capacity for empathy and love. Yeah. Because this animal, you're giving them love without any, but it is like there's no expectation for you to do anything. Like anything you do is more than you need to do. Yes. You know, because it's an animal. So it's like you could just let it run free, and yet you're deciding to care for it. So I've always found that very bizarre. But I think it's very similar to like embryos. It's like, or like we've talked about how it's like a woman who votes for Trump but then spends her whole year like raising money for like foster children, and you're like, literally what? Like I went to high school with a girl like this. It's like all year. I'm like, this poor woman works her ass off trying to get presents for foster kids. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Have you ever tried not voting for a president who rips all these resources away from every person so you don't have to, as a random woman in the middle of North Carolina, spend all this time doing this? But it's like they want to pick and choose who gets what resources they want. Like they don't want anyone to get their resources. They want to decide who, anyways. But I think that is always absolutely bizarre. But I think boy moms are similar. It's like they want to, or I guess not similar, but they've never been, they finally have a man in their life who listens to them, respects them, and who they have control over. And then it becomes perverted.
Yeah, I was going to say, tack on one more thing. It's like a white savior complex, right? The foster kids, the animals, the embryos in the womb. You want to like save something, quote unquote, but you don't actually want to help because if you I guarantee you, if actual foster kids were to find their way to you and say, I need help, can you please give me $20 to take the bus? They would probably be like, that's not my job. But yeah, let's keep it moving.
There's someone said, one of my coworkers is a boy mom and she has one son and 2 daughters, and the only time she talks about her daughters is when she's insulting them and calling them little bitches and lazy. Her son is the center of her world. There's a typo. Center of her world and husband's. Oh, her son is the center of her and her husband's world. He's a junior named after her husband, and she openly talks about how he is her husband's favorite and how spoiled he is. She will talk about buying her son a couple $100 pair of shoes and stuff for school shopping and making her daughters buy their own. She talks about how high maintenance girls are and how her son is so easy. She makes her daughters do chores and not her son because he doesn't do it right. I could go on and on. She's literally the worst.
Wait, I did want to touch on something else from the previous person, but it's short. So the mom will see like any other girl as competition because like there's these wires get crossed where it's like, since you gave birth to him, like by a warped perception of children already will like, you think you claim ownership over them. But now like you think you have dibs. Yeah. Right? Like you are the one who raised him. Like he's literally, quote unquote, I guess in the eyes of the law, yours. Right? Yeah. And so like now, yes, of course, every woman that takes away his attention is going to be competition. And that's where it gets weirdly gross. But yeah, yeah, so the favoritism, and that's also like how you you create weaponized incompetence. Like, he doesn't do it right. We'll teach him. The thing is, the reason why your girls are high maintenance is because you have to teach them how to live, right? Like, boys are so easy because you're literally saying that he can't do most of the stuff himself. It's like in the same sentence, right? This person is quote unquote high maintenance because they can take care of themselves. This person is easy, but they can't take care of themselves. Do you see where there is like a bit of a discrepancy?
Right, yeah. Well, and also I think it's like they're so high maintenance, they're so expensive, because of misogyny.
Yes.
Like, I don't have to spend that much more than most men probably, but it's like I'm not having to spend all this money on makeup and hair stuff because like I don't care as much about that. But women who feel forced, some women love doing it, but women who feel forced to do it, I feel like especially in homes like this, it's like, well, your worth is in your looks and and then they're simultaneously getting mad because they've given their daughter no feeling of worth outside of her looks.
Yeah.
And dating men. And now they're mad they have to spend money on makeup and hair products and extensions and all this stuff because it's like, well, because that's the only, you've given worth to your son without him having to do anything.
Yeah, and also you're insulting your daughters and you wonder why they're, quote, little bitches. Yeah, I mean, I'd be mean to someone who insulted me too. And also, how are they lazy? Your son is the one who can't do anything, right? That's like the text, like the thing is even with like with cognitive, dissonance, distortion, like if you just had access to a dictionary and you read the definition for lazy and your eyes looked up to the couch of your son laying shirtless in his own filth that you clean up for him, you'd be like, yeah, wait up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's denial.
Absolutely wild. Do you want to keep reading these ones or are there other links that you want to look at?
I want to read a couple more of these.
Great, I just want to make sure you get to read the ones you wanted.
So someone said, so bad. My first boyfriend was the oldest of 3 boys. His mom did not like me. She gave him a photo book for his high school graduation with photos of him growing up. And on the last page, there was a picture of him and me at prom. And underneath it read, "Remember we loved you first," which was just weird as fuck. Little stuff like that. And then never asking me any questions about myself or anything. She was also such a pick-me vibes. Luckily, his dad was so much better.
That's nice.
I'm trying to think of, have you ever encountered... You haven't dated a dude. Have you ever encountered something weirdly incestuous with a family because you were dating them? Like you were dating someone, you met their family, and you're like, something weirdly incestuous is going on here.
Did you?
I've dated mainly one dude who had a very weird relationship with his sister.
Oh, yeah.
She definitely, this is the thing. I have never in my life ever thought anyone has been jealous of me.
Yeah.
Like, that is not something... Because I know myself, and I'm like, no one wants this. But I'm so serious. Like, I had very little self-worth. Like, my parents never taught me the concept of jealousy or envy, other than in the context of the Bible. But I didn't know what it meant, And so, do you know how powerful it has to be for me to not register jealousy? Yeah. And this girl just was so weird around me. And very touchy of her brother, always rubbing his shoulders or giving him
so weird
side hugs and holding on. And the thing is that what's crazy is I gaslit myself because I was like, I'm not close with my family. This is normal to rub your brother like that.
Well, I feel like I have the same instinct because to me, I'm like, I think people are like, whoa, but would be okay with your sister. I'm like, no, I don't do that with my sisters at all. But then, I'm not as close with my siblings. So I was like, well, maybe if I was really close with my sisters.
Yeah.
But I really don't. It's hard for me to picture that. I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like that. Even with my best friends, I'm not that touchy.
Yeah.
If you're that, I don't know.
I guess
that's personal preference, but
I mean, I can totally understand if you're sisters or you cuddle like that, honestly, or you cuddle with your mom, that's so fun. But I think when there's rubbing, that's not shoulders.
That is what it is. It's the rubbing. It's because you're right. Because I'll sit on the couch with my mom and have my feet draped over her.
Yeah.
But if I started I can't even say it. It's started rubbing her legs and people would that would be really weird.
Yeah, the thing is my mom has doctors have to regularly get trained. My mom has this table that you can lay on and you get a massage. So when she would practice on us occasionally, but it's not motherly, oh, they're there. It was like elbow
She's getting in there.
in the solar plexus, that sort of thing. And if like my parents rubbed my, I wouldn't let them, but like it would be for some sort of tension reason.
Right.
Not for.
Have you ever had a massage?
Yes, I have.
Do you like them?
Oh yeah, I was.
I love massages.
I mean, I think I've told this story before, but like the last time I had a massage, it was because I was going to VidCon in like 2019 or whatever, but I was in the O'Hare and I had like this layover time, and I saw this woman who just put out one of those massage chairs that you see at the.
Like a mall.
Yeah, at the mall, but she was like right at the entrance to O'Hare, and I was like, "Are you like doing this?" Or is this just, you got to rearrange some luggage? She's
Was
like,
she outside or inside?
Inside.
Okay, I was like, this woman was outside the airport.
She was doing, giving massages at O'Hare, and so, like, I booked her for as long as I could, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs in O'Hare, like, moaning. And the thing is I didn't care at that point because I was so tense. It was gross, but it's very cathartic. I loved it.
Love a massage, and I've talked to a couple men. Well, it's like I talked to one guy who told me about getting a happy ending massage.
Oh.
And I was like, what? Like, I didn't know that was I thought outside of porn and like movies, like comedy movies, that didn't exist, really.
Yeah.
Or maybe, but I just didn't really I didn't think about it. And then so I was like, he was like, yeah, I think it's more common with guys. I think it happens to a lot of guys. So I started like asking, I'm like, oh, have you had a happy ending massage? More men than you would think have been like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, did you ask for it? And they're like, no. But they like, it's like happened to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was crazy for me. But I like massages, but I feel like they are insane sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know why I thought to ask you this, but I just feel like the last massage I have, I feel like they've gotten more comfortable sticking their hands in your ass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not in your ass, but you know what I mean? Like spreading your butt cheeks and massaging. And I'm like, I feel like they used to not do that. And I feel like it's become more normal now.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I just am like, it always feels crazy to me because I'm so comfortable. I feel like with stuff like that. And like, I'm very comfortable being naked. Like none of that freaks me out. But I'm like, there's a lot of people in my life I imagine in that scenario and they would be like absolutely so uncomfortable.
Yeah. I think if I'm getting a massage, I have got massages in the past, any sort of like anxious or timid energy shows me that you think it's weird. So if I'm going to get a massage, I need someone who's certain and just like stoic, very serious, Helga, big German woman, just, like, because
that's what I like too. Or when they get on top of you.
Yeah.
It's so funny because you can't see anything. I think that's what's so funny about a massage is like you can't see anything. So the image you get in your head of what's happening is so crazy where it's like I'm getting a massage and then I just feel the table shake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know she's on the table. I don't know where she is. In my head, she's like hanging from the ceiling and like using her feet to walk on my back. Like, I don't know what is going on, but something is happening up there.
Yeah, it's like when you go to bed and your pet jumps on the bed and your eyes are already closed and you're like, where is Dopey? Where are they? But there's a couple more. Okay, wait. Yeah, so someone said people who use that as a cornerstone of their identity have some internalized misogyny. They have more than that to deal with. But we can go to the second Reddit thing. Okay. It's terrible Facebook memes. It's just an example of one, if you'd like to read it. It's from...
Here we go.
It says, boy, moms are strange, but what's the image say?
Knew I had found the man of my dreams as soon as I looked into my son's eyes.
And
there that is.
It's just an example of like the boy mom memes. Like it's emotional incest, Someone said it's quasi disgusting. I was like, it's full on disgusting. It's scientifically disgusting.
Would you rather, you kind of answered this earlier, I guess, because you said you'd rather be neglected, but would you rather be the boy of a boy mom or the daughter of a boy mom?
So I've already had experience not being the favorite.
So you said let's go 2 for 2. Might as well do it again.
I'd rather be the daughter of the boy mom. The thing is, straight up neglect every time. Actually, like there's something, and maybe this is an avoidant thing. The idea of someone loving me too much to the point that is gross. When someone projects something on me, especially when I can't escape them, that makes me wildly uncomfortable. So I'd rather just be straight up not seen by my parents.
Yeah. I also think to me, maybe being the boy growing up would be nice.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to get rid of neglect from your body, I feel like. It's like, you forever will have there's a lot you got to work through.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I would give anything to, instead of being a boy mom, be the daughter, because the thought of having to be an adult and have a wife and have a family and deal with my mom being insane feels like insane.
Well, actually, no, then that actually makes me reinforce my point. I was consistently neglected my entire life, so I established a baseline. The favorite in my family is Hannah, right? And Hannah was always the favorite. But when Hannah came out, her status just immediately, like, just no longer the favorite in my parents' eyes. And the thing is her entire life, she thought that she was loved for who she was.
Unconditionally.
Yeah, this is what breaks my heart for my sister. She like thought, I mean, I was jealous, but I was happy. Well, not jealous, but like I wanted to just be treated fairly. But like, so she got all the support she wanted. She's great. She's incredibly smart, like successful. But then when she came out, like Jake and I had been telling her,
right,
you know, they're treating us, you know, bad. And since she's being treated great, like, oh, you know, and I don't blame her because she was a kid. So, you know, but so, yeah, when she got all that taken away, she now had this come to Jesus moment. Like, was any of it real? And so like being consistently forgotten about or neglected, at least like you got the truth of it. I could not imagine thinking my entire life I was loved unconditionally and supported, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to come out to my loving parents, and then they just cut you off.
Right. Well, because that's the thing with like a boy mom. They don't love you.
Yeah.
They love the idea of you.
Yes.
Which I think is like even more, not more traumatizing or less, but it's like at least when you're being the neglected one, you know what the cards you've been dealt.
Yes.
You're like, this is what my life is, versus being like, my mom loves me so much, she loves me so much, it's weird. And then being like, oh, she actually doesn't love me, she loves that I'm a boy, which feels so, I mean, insane.
Well, then that's actually interesting. They love would you rather someone love the idea of you or hate the idea of you? Yeah. And they're your parents. And then it all comes to a head.
Yeah, I guess hate the idea of me, because then it is kind of that experience where you're, when you get, well, I mean, it's hard because I'm like, every parent kind of loves the idea of their kid. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's just a little bit, it's like, well, you know, parenthood is so talked up. It's like, oh, it's just my daughter.
Yeah.
It's my, you know, so I'm like, they have an ounce of like that. But I think fully like boy mom status, I think when you are just fully, you know your parents hate you, you can at least like prepare for that instead of having the rug pulled out from under you. Yeah. Because then I think you also then have to deal with like, you know, if you were neglected by a terrible parent, you know what it looks like for someone to be an asshole to you. Yeah. Versus I think if the rug is pulled out, it's kind of like the ability to trust ever again, I think would also go with that as well. Because you'd be like, well, you're acting like you love me, but I have no idea who loves me or who doesn't, you know?
Yeah, it's the privilege of like, that's like, you know, we talk about like covert or overt narcissism. Like some of us would rather deal with like overt narcissism because you know they just hate you. Yeah. And they're like, there's something wrong with them. But covert is like, do they? You know, you're like constantly questioning. But the thing is like also when it comes to like growing up and like moving out of the house, if you're consistently neglected and treated like crap, if you need to go no contact, it's no issue. Yeah. If you were they switched on you like that, going no contact is going to be the worst.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's like I talk a lot with my therapist because there was someone in my life growing up where it was like there's some personality disorder going on where it's kind of like there were really good moments and then you could do something and they react completely positively, or you could do that exact same thing and they like scream at you and are like, I hate you and you're terrible. And so the basis of like what is right and what is wrong and what is good and what's bad and what's acceptable is just so blurred. And I've just talked a lot about how it was like, I wish it was just like all bad because that would be so much less emotionally upsetting. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it makes you as an adult just walk on eggshells because you're like, well, it doesn't really matter what I do. Like, I know there are things that if I did it, it's rude and someone would have a reaction. But when you grow up feeling like it doesn't really matter what I do, I have no control over this person's reaction because they have no control over their reaction. Yeah. So it's almost like sometimes, the all bad sucks so much, but sometimes it's a little more clear when you're, an adult. Yeah. I don't know. But I wouldn't want either. That's what I guess I would say.
No, I wouldn't want either, and neither is worse. Neither is like better or worse. I'm saying, there's another one. It's from r/shit mom group say. Okay, so this is from a couple years ago. Boy moms, no truer words. I love this so much I had to share. If you're a boy mom, this one's for you. You always hear about a girl's daddy, quote, giving his daughter away on her wedding day. I have never thought much about the mamas and their sons, but y'all mamas give away something too, something just as precious, something I knew I would never get back. I gave away being the one he hugs and kisses. I gave away being the one he looks for in a crowd. I gave away being the first person he turns to when things get tough. I gave away being the one he makes laugh in the middle of the day. I gave away being his number one girl. I gave away a piece of my heart. I gave away my son. Deep down, I know he will always love me, but I also know he loves her more. He loves her more than his mama, and that's okay. That's how I knew he had found the one. But isn't that what we want? We want to marry a girl who will put first, even if it means we become second. Mamas, love him while you are still first. Kiss his sweet baby face and linger in those lanky teenage hugs. Drive him to school even when he is grumpy and doesn't say a word to you. Listen when he needs to vent and blow off steam. Linger in those lanky teenage hugs.
Dude, this one isn't as bad to me. I think this one is weird.
This was fine, and then it got like she dipped, and I was like, what?
It's starting to get weird. I think what's weird about all this, it's like the gender is just so weird. That's what makes this weird. Because this post is weird. If I posted this would be insane. This is very much a thing like a middle-aged woman would post on the internet. It's not like, it's a little weird, but it's like, it's the fact that it's about the gender that makes it so weird. Because what this woman is describing is like, now her kid's an adult. I always think it's weird when it's like, I think, I have to remember people get married a lot younger.
Yeah.
Than people do in my in this industry and where I live. Because to me, I'm like, you're getting married. What are you, like 35? Why is your mom acting like she's saying goodbye to you now? Like, haven't you been out of the house for 15 years? But a lot of people get married when they're like 19 years old. So I think there is like, she's saying goodbye to having a child.
Yeah.
And she's wording it in a kind of perverted way. But it's like, do you not feel this when your daughter moves out of the house?
Yeah. What
does it have to do with, and that's what makes it feel sexual. Because why would it be different?
Yeah.
Like that's what's so weird about it to me. Because I'm like, this isn't that crazy. At least she's being like, I know that he loves his wife probably more than he loves me, and that makes sense. And like, that's good. And it seems like she's processing her emotions. Because I'm like, yeah, when your kid grows up, you do need to process those emotions. Like, I'm sure there is something crazy about like, you've raised a baby and you are the number one thing they need, care, want to talk to. Like they are the most important thing to you. And then they grow up and it's like, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have to process those feelings. But yeah, so with this one, I'm like, yeah, it's just that I'm like, does this woman have a daughter? Does she not care that like, her daughter is getting, you know what I mean? That's just so weird to me.
The thing is she's saying I gave away being the one he hugs and kisses. No, you didn't. You're still his mom. She can.
Right. Or like I gave away being the one that makes him laugh in the middle of the day. I'm like, you guys can still talk.
Yeah. You're thinking that this is all or nothing, right? Like you're like, I'm giving him away. So giving him is just in itself is like ownership, right?
Yeah.
This is not like, you can still call your son, make him laugh, hug him when you want to.
Yeah.
Like you're saying that you want to be the only person who does that. So that's a competitive like mindset, right? You're pitting yourself against.
Yeah.
And while you do have, I feel like whoever posted this, you have a chance, right? If you went to therapy and you really gave it your all, I believe in you. Because there is some, that is his wife. Yeah. You conceded, which is great.
You conceded.
No, not like conceded, like, but like, you got a lot of work to, this is 2 years ago, so I'm really hoping that this is just so, the first comment, the fact that these parents view their different gendered children as being, quote, so different is outrageous to me. Yeah.
It's so gross to me, I think, when I really, because, I think of things in a different way, because to me, I'm not trying to be like, boys have penises and girls have vaginas. But these people think of it that, like, these people are not, because when you have a boy, they're babies. So to me, it's just so weird, like, the obsession with truly genitalia is so perverted, because I'm like, these women love this boy so much, and they act like they're and I'm like, the only thing that's different is that.
Yeah.
And that's so weird. I don't know. It's just so weird. It's so,
I think, so like, if they're paying so closely attention to gender, I'm going to say like, they're probably like take, gender roles very seriously. And also you could look at the mother, like, so women who take their gender roles seriously, none of them view themselves as above men ever. Like men are like the providers, the leaders, right? So women always are like secondary, right? The reason why people are so okay with like giving your daughter away, like verbiage, like is because you're like, oh, there is some type of possession, right? There's ownership over women. This is one of the scenarios where women could argue that they have ownership over a man, which is not, and it's in a way that's traditionally accepted, right?
Right, that's what I mean. It's like this is the one man that you actually have power over in any capacity.
Yeah, and so like what gets men off about being above women is the control aspect. So this woman has actually, inherited that shit, right? Like she has a control issue. And people who have control issues resent people's independence, right? So like the more you move away, the closer they're going to like pull you back. And so there's just a whole layer on layer of like gender roles, control, emotional incest. And the thing is with daddies, girl dads, or not even so when guys are like super possessive of their daughters, that shows you that man's relationship to society, right? Like in gender. But like when a woman like has this weird control issue with her son, it also tells you about her relationship with her husband, right? What role, or her partner, like what role, I mean, it has to be realistically in this scenario is probably a man, but like what is your husband, your boyfriend role, is he not fulfilling that you project that onto your son?
Right. Well, and I think it's all based in just sexism too, because I even think there's like I think like how something began is important, because it's like I think girl dads are different than boy moms, because it's like, well, to me, and maybe this is wrong, but to me girl dads comes out of like a society where, I mean, truly women were killed if they couldn't produce a son.
Yeah.
And men wanted a son and they didn't want a daughter. And then it's like, then there's kind of a trope of like absentee father, like women being like, I've got daddy issues. And then there's like this group of men that's like, I'm a girl dad.
Yeah.
And even though it can, become weird.
Yeah.
And like, it's weird if you like come out with a gun on your daughter's first date. And like, but I think it comes from at least a like going against the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And then we do circle back and it becomes more misogynistic again, but at least in the beginnings of it is pushing it. It's a dad going, I'm happy I have a daughter.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get to know my daughter as a person and care about her and be a good role model of a man to her, versus boy moms started as it started as sexist. It started as bad. It started as perverted. It started as like classic patriarchy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
It's very weird.
It's very weird, but you guys get the gist. Let us know in the comments if you've ever dealt with a boy mom, or if you are one. I don't know. That'd actually be really like,
If you are one.
You're like, you know what? I do have a problem. And then in that case, I commend you, right? Like, a first step is always acknowledging something. But this has been Boy Moms Part 2.
We just keep doing. Come back next week for a part 3.
Yeah.
We're going to do part 4. I'm just kidding. No, I just love, there's just so many. I find it so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like so scary and disturbing.
It's interesting. So like I talk about decentering men a lot. And so it's interesting the types of people like who need to decenter men. Like if you're a married woman, you can decenter your husband. That does not mean that you do not like your husband. If you're a man, you can decenter men. If you're a mom, you need to decenter your son. Now, that does not mean stop loving your son. It means stop holding his gender as like something important to your identity. Like it's something that you find gives you, like it's like just love him for being a boy, or love him for him, right? Love all your children. But if you're finding that you're holding your son closer to the chest, you need to like decenter men. Again, that does not mean that you hate him and you're never going to associate. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry this week is what it was.
It's the election.
that sucks. And I, try to do something nice for yourself this week.
Yeah.
We hope that you're having, besides that, an okay week. And make sure to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure to rate and review us and to have a good week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.